वक्रतुण्डमहाकाय सूर्यकोटिसमप्रभ निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा। सरस्वति नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणी विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा। गुरवे सर्वलोकानां भिषजे भवरोगिणां निधये सर्वविद्यानां दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करम्। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। साक्षात्कृतं दयानन्दं परमार्थस्वरूपिणं तत्त्वज्ञानप्रशास्तारं प्रणतोऽस्मि परं पदम्। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये।
विषग्नश्च भक्तिमुक्तिफलप्रदः
I will chant the Dhyana shlokas. You can listen. We have seen the meaning of all the Dhyana shlokas except the last one, which we are going to see today, and then start the first chapter of the Gita. So you can keep your mic in mute. Om Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Gratitam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitamritavarshinim Bhagavatim Ashtadashadhyayinim Ambatvavanusandathami Bhagavat Gite Bhavadveshinim. Namostu te Vyasa Vishala Buddhe Pullaravindaya Tapatraneta Yena Tvaya Bharata Taila Purnaha Prajvalito Jnanamaya Pradipaha Prapanna Parijataya Totra Vetraikaparnaye Jnanamudraya Krishnaya Gita Bhrataduhe Namaha Sarvopanishado Gavaha Dogdha Gopalanandanaha Partho Vatsasudher Bhokta Dugdham Gita Vratam Mahat वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम् भीष्मद्रोणतटा जयद्रथजला गान्धारनीलोत्पला शल्यग्राहवती कृपेण वदनी कर्णेन वेलाकुला अश्वत्थामविकर्णघोरमकरा दुर्योधनावर्तिनी सोत्तीर्णा खलु पाण्डवैरनदी कैवर्तकः केशवः पाराशर्यवचः सरोजममलम् गीतार्थगन्धोत्कटम् नानाख्यानककेसरं हरिकथा सम्बोधनाबोधितम् लोके सज्जनषट्पदैरहरगः पेपीयमानं मुदा भूयाद्भारतपङ्कजं कविमलप्रध्वंसिनः श्रेयसे मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपात्तमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम्. Up to the last Dhyana Shloka, Mukam Karoti Vachalam, we have seen the meaning. Now we are seeing the meaning of the 9th Dhyana Shloka. Through the 9th Dhyana Shloka, again we offer our salutation, Namaskara to Bhagavan Krishna. So let us chant. We can chant. You can repeat now. Unmute the mic and repeat after me. Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Marutaha
Yam Brahma Varunendra
Tunvanti Divyaistavaihi Vedai Sanghapadakramopaniषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तं न विदुः सुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः. Mute your mic. We will see the meaning of this shloka. Through all these Dhyana shloka, we have seen that we offered Namaskara starting from Bhagavad Gita to Mahabharatam to Vyasa and Bhagavan Krishna. We offered Namaskara. So Dhyana shloka is in the form of Namaskara. In the form of Prarthana, prayer, and prayer is in the form of offering our Namaskara, showing our readiness to receive the teaching of the Gita. The text is Gita, which is contained in Mahabharata, written by Vyasacharya, taught by Krishna, and learned by Arjuna. So to everyone, to all the factors, the people involved in this, we offer the Namaskara. Because of them, we have the opportunity to study Gita. And Gita being an Upanishad, and that too coming from the mouth of the Lord, Bhagavan Krishna. Therefore, it's an expression of gratitude, and also the prarthana. The prarthana can be an expression of gratitude, or also the prarthana can be the form of asking Bhagavan to remove the obstacles which can come in our way. Like we didn't have a proper audio connection last week, audio, video, so problem, internet issue, all these are pratibandha, obstacles. So to remove all the obstacles, whether in the form of study or in the form of putting that into practice in our life. So any form of obstacles. Three types of obstacles. There are three types of obstacles: Adhyatmika, Adibhautika, Adidaivika. Three types of pratibandhas. So pratibandha nivrityartham prarthana. So to ward off all the obstacles, we offer our prayer. And prayer also, as I said, in the form of gratitude, namaskara. So namaskara to all the factors involved in the study of Gita. So all these Dhyana shlokas are so beautiful, written by Madhusudana Saraswati, starting from the first Dhyana shloka onwards, offering namaskara to Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita looked upon as mother. So to the Bhagavad Gita mother, offering our namaskara, starting from that, and we have come to the 9th Dhyana shloka, and here also we offer our namaskara to Bhagavan Krishna. Even though there were some 1 or 2 Dhyana shlokas already we have seen on Bhagavan Krishna, namaskara prarthana shloka on Bhagavan Krishna, we have seen Vasudeva Sutam Devam Mukam Garoti Vachalam. It is some Dhyana shlokas we have seen, and this Dhyana shloka also is a namaskara shloka to Bhagavan Krishna. And the Lord Bhagavan is praised through all these words. The last line of the sentence, Namaha. Namaha, first we have to pick up the word Namaha. Namaha means Namaskaraha. Mama Namaskaraha, my Namaskara. Namaskara to whom? To Deva. Who is a Deva? Bhagavan Krishna is a Deva, the Lord. Divyati iti Devaha, the one who is shining, effulgent. That is why it's called Devaha. Devaya Tasmai Namaha, to the Lord, Namaskara. And other words are all the qualifying the Deva. The Deva, the Lord, who is praised by Brahmaji himself. Brahmaji, the Chaturmukha Brahma, the four-faced Brahma, who is the Karanam for the Srishti, the creation, who is the Karanam for the Srishti to come to existence, is a Srishtikarta, and he is the firstborn, Pratamajaha, born from the navel of Lord Vishnu. Bhuvpado Vyasyanabir Viyadasurilas Chandrasuryau Chanetre. In Vishnu Sahasram Dhyana Shloka, Bhuvpado. In that Dhyana Shloka, it is described Yasya Nabihi, from the Nabi of Lord Vishnu, Brahmaji, the Chaturmukha Brahma, was born. So the first son, the firstborn, Brahmaji, who is the son of Lord Vishnu. And that Brahmaji, not only that Brahmaji, along with him, the other Devatas, Varuna, Indra, Marutaha, all these Devatas. These Devatas, Varuna, Indra, Maruta, all these Devatas are mentioned in the Vedas. So, Shanno Mitrasham Varunaha, Shanno Bhavat Varyama, Channagindra Brihaspatihi. So, Varuna Devata, Indra Devata, all these are there in the Shanti Pata. So, all these are the the Devatas which are mentioned in the Vedas. So Brahma as well as other Devatas, Stunvanti, they praise. They praise whom? Whom did they praise? They praise their Father, the Lord. The Father is the Lord. My Father who is in heaven. Our Father is not in heaven. Our Father is in the form of the whole Prapancha, the Jagat. The whole Jagat is Ishvara. That is why it's called Vishnu. The meaning of the word very wish means to enter. The one who has entered the world. Entered means not from outside. He has become the world. The one who is in the form of the world. Becoming the world also not in the form of a change. Not in the form of a change. Like a curd, like a milk becoming a curd. The milk became a curd and it is no more a milk. The milk has undergone change. If it undergoes changes, then it is not permanent. Like that, Bhagavan has not become the world. Bhagavan in the form of Jagat, it is available for our recognition, for our perception. Bhagavan in the form of Jagat is available for our recognition of our senses, perception. It is not that he changed himself and became the Jagat, not like the milk becoming the curd, but like a pot becoming a clay. Sorry, a clay becoming a pot, other way. A clay becoming a pot. A clay becomes the pot. What changes happen to the clay to become a pot? A pot is nothing but a name and a form. It is just a nama rupa. A pot is nothing but clay only. It is just a name and form. Minus name and form, what is in the pot is nothing but clay. You cannot remove the clay and keep the pot. You cannot remove the clay and keep the pot. Minus clay, pot doesn't have existence. So when we say pot has come into existence, the pot maker has created the pot. What he has done really done is nothing. He has given a shape to the clay, which has become a pot. Whether it is a clay or whether it is in the form of a pot, what is there is only clay only. Clay is Satyam. Similarly, the Jagat, the Prapancha which has come into existence, it is like the pot. But the content of the pot is clay, Bhagavan. Bhagavan cannot change. The changeless Bhagavan, the very nature of Bhagavan is changelessness. He has become the Jagat, like the clay becoming the pot. Without changing, he has become. That is the changeless change. So, therefore, Bhagavan is Avyaya. He is Avyaya, doesn't have change, doesn't undergo change. Like we undergo change. Our body undergoes changes. Our body, first it is born, jayate, then it grows, vardate, then undergo changes, viparinamate, jayate, vardate, viparinamate, apakshiyate, and finally vinashyati, gets destroyed. The body undergoes changes. But Bhagavan doesn't undergo change like the change we undergo. The changeless change, which is the adhara, which is the adhisthana for everything to exist. That is Bhagavan. So, therefore, that Bhagavan, Brahma, Varuna, Indra, Marutaha, Stunvanti, they praise the Lord Bhagavan. So, yam refer, you know the yam shabda we have seen in Sanskritam class, yaga yoye, yam yoyan, yat shabda, sarvanama shabda. So, yam Brahma, Varuna, Indra, Marutaha, Stunvanti, they praise the one whom the Brahmaji, the Chaturmukha Brahma, Varuna, Indra, Maruta, all these devatas, they praise. Tasmai Namaha, the one whom they praise, to him my namaskara. And how do they praise? Divyai stavaihi. Divya stava. Glorious. Divya is, which is divine, glorious. Stava. Stava is the shlokas, hymns. Stuti. Stava. Stavai. With glorious hymns. The shlokas. Stavaihi. And that is in the form of Vedaihi. Sangha Padakramopanishadaihi. So they praise the Lord. Brahmaji, Brahma, Varuna, Indra, Maruta, all these are some name of some few devatas. They praise the Lord with stava. Vedaihi Sangha Kramopanishadaihi Gayanti Yam Samakaha. Gayanti Yam Samakaha. So Brahma, Varuna, Indra, Devata, all these devatas, they praise the Lord with the glorious hymns. That is one thing. Similarly, Samagaha. Sama means song. Samaveda. Samaveda is sung. That is why it's called Samaveda. That which is put to singing. That is which is sung. That is called Sama. Sama. The singing of Samaveda is different from the general understanding of song singing. Sama is a particular way the mantras of the Veda are chanted, Samaveda. So Samagaha means Samam, Samagayakaha. Sama mantras, the one who sing the Sama Veda, they are called Samagaka. That is the knowers of the Sama Veda. They, Yam Samagaha, Yam Gayanti, the one whom they Gayanti, they praise. How do they praise? By singing Gayanti. Samagaha Gayanti. Samagaha, that is the knowers of the Sama Veda. Not only Sama Veda, other Vedas also. That's why we can translate the word Samagaha means Vaidikaha, the knowers of Veda. Gayanti. Gayanti, they sing. They sing praising the Lord. How do they praise? Vedaihi Sangha Padakramopanishadaihi, by the Veda. So the Vaidikas, the knowers of the Samagaha, they sing by praising. They praise the Lord. They praise the Lord by singing the Vedas. Veda along with Vedanga. Sangha means Angena Saha. Vedanga. Vedas are 4 Vedas. Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Sama Veda, Atharva Veda. And Vedanga, the 6 limbs of Veda, which are useful for the understanding of the Veda. In Mundakopanishad we saw Chatvaraha Vedaha and Shat Angani, Shiksha, Kalpo, Niruttam, Vyakranam, Chando, Jyotisha, Niti, the 6 Angas of Veda. So with all this, and also the Vedic mantras are sung in the form of Padapata, Kramapata, Ganapata, in different ways they are sung. So Samagaha Gayanti, Yam Gayanti, whom do they praise? Gayanti. The first one is Brahma, Varuna, Indra, Marutaha, Stunvanti, and they praise by the hymns, glorious hymns. And second one, Samagaha, that is Vaidikaha, they chant the Samaveda, other Vedas also. Other Veda also they chant. They chant with a proper method. That is Ganapata, Kramapata, different way of chanting the Vedas. And for chanting of the Veda, you must have the knowledge of Vedangas. So along with the Vedangas and Veda, they praise the Lord. They praise the Lord. So Samagaha Gayanti. The third line, Yoginaha. The first one is Devataha. The second line is Vaidikaha. First one Devataha. Devatas praise the Lord. Second line, the Vaidikas, they praise the Lord. Third line, the yogis. The yogis, dhyanavastita tadgatena manasa pashyantiyam yoginaha. Yoginaha, yogis. Who are those yogis? Yogis here means the people who are committed to the study of Shastram, that is Shravanam, Mananam, and Nididhyasana. These people who are committed to listening and contemplating of the words of the Upanishads, they are called yogis. Yogi means not any other yogi. Yogi, in our context, what we mean by yogi is the one who is exposed to the teaching of the Upanishads. How? By going to the Guru, hearing from the Guru, listening to the words of the teacher, and doing mananam, reflecting on what the teacher taught, and contemplating on what the teacher taught. That person is called a yogi, jnana yogi. Or simply we can translate as this the seekers of moksha, the seekers of Bhagavan. They are called yogis. What does moksha mean? Moksha means freedom. What is freedom? Understanding Bhagavan is freedom. Understanding Bhagavan as not different from you is freedom. That is called moksha. The one who pursues that person is called a yogi. So yogi means that person who are after Bhagavan. After Bhagavan, it means they are committed people who are committed to study of the Shastram. Committed to the study of Shastram to know Bhagavan. That is like after Bhagavan. So those are the yogis. Or simply we can translate as the seekers. Other way of understanding yogis, seekers, the seekers of truth, the seekers of knowledge, spiritual people, yoginaha, mumukshus. They dhyayanti, they meditate upon the Lord Vishnu. Either they meditate on the Lord with the form, or they meditate on the Lord without form. They can do Saguna Upasana or Nirguna Upasana. Saguna Upasana, the same Bhagavan who is with form is called Saguna. The same Bhagavan who is without any guna. No guna attributed to Bhagavan. It is Nirguna. So Saguna Upasana or Nirguna Upasana. Whatever may be the Upasana. That Upasana depends on the level of the student. The person is yet to be qualified to do Nirguna Upasana, they can do Saguna Brahma Upasana. That is meditating on the Lord with form. You can attribute any form to Bhagavan because everything is Bhagavan. There is nothing other than Bhagavan. If anybody asks where is Bhagavan, you have to ask where Bhagavan is not. What is there is only Bhagavan. The whole prapancha, the Jagat is Bhagavan, we say. So how can we ask where is Bhagavan? There is no place where Bhagavan is not. He is called Bhagavan because he alone is. That's why he is called Bhagavan. He is the ultimate and who has become the Jagat. The whole Jagat. Jagat includes you also. When we say Jagat, does it exclude you? You are also included. So therefore you are also one with Bhagavan only. You are not different from the Lord. That is a teaching. That is a teaching. And for that, to understand the teaching, depending on the level where one is, one can do Saguna Brahma Upasana or Nirguna Brahma Upasana. One can do Upasana, the worship of the Lord with form, or one can do contemplation on the Nirguna aspect of the Lord. So Yogina means we can take it as Saguna Brahma Upasaka or Nirguna Brahma Upasaka. So they dhyayanti. if it is Saguna Brahma Upasaka, then they meditate on the form of the Lord. If it is Nirguna Brahma, then it is they contemplate on the Tattvam of the Lord, the truth of the Lord. So, Yoginaha Dhyayanti, they meditate. How? Dhyanavastita tadgatena manasa, therefore meditate. In the Upasana, manas is involved. That's why it's called Upasana. Upasana could be a kaika, vachika, could be a kaika upasana. Upasana being a karma, a puja can be done with the body or with the mind or with the words. Chanting is also a upasana. Doing puja is also a upasana. Or meditating on the Lord in the mind, that is also upasana only. Manasa. It's a manasa karma. So manasa, mentally, pashyanti, they see. They see means they do upasana. In the mind they see. When they meditate, in the mind, they bring in the Lord and they see the Lord with the form. That is Saguna Brahma Upasana. If it is Nirguna Brahma Upasana, they think on the teaching of the Upanishad. That is Nirguna Brahma Upasana. So both are thinking only. One is thinking on the form, other one is contemplating on the teaching. So Yoginaha Dhyayanti, Manasa Pashyanti, Dhyana Avastita. Dhyana is meditation. Avastita, remaining in the state of meditation. When do you remain in the state of meditation? Only when you withdraw from the world. So, Uparamaha, withdrawing from the world, focusing the mind on the Lord. Dhyayanti. Ke dhyayanti? Yoginaha dhyayanti. The yogis, they meditate. The one whom they meditate, whom the yogis meditate, Tasmai Namaha, to him, my namaskara. So the first line is about Devatas worshipping the Lord. The second line about the Samagaha, the Vedikaha worshipping the Lord. The third one is yogis worshipping the Lord. So all these are qualifying the Lord who is worshipped by the Devatas, the Lord who is worshipped by Samagas, the Lord who is worshipped by yogis. To him, my namaskara to that Lord. And the last line says, Yasyantam na vidusura suraganaha. Sura means Devata. Asura, Rakshasa. So Sura, Asura. Sura, Devata, celestial people. Asura, Rakshasa, demons. Sura, Asura, Ganaha. Gana is group. The group of Sura and Asura, Ganaha, Yasyantam na viduhu. Yasya antam na viduhu. Yasya antam. Anta means the limit. Yasya antam. Kasya antam Bhagavataha. Vishnoho. Krishnasya. Krishnasya antam. The limit of the Lord. If the limit of the Lord is the Lord Vishnu. Vishnu is infinite. It is unlimited. Purnaha is complete. It doesn't have limit. That is why we say the Shivaratri. For Shivaratri, they give a story that Lord Shiva in the form of Jyoti, he doesn't have a limit. It's a long Jyoti which doesn't have a beginning, doesn't have an end. So Vishnu wanted to find out Vishnu and Brahmaji, they wanted to find the limit and they could not find it, returned back. So like that, Vishnu and Shiva, there is no difference. Rupa Veda, but Tattvataha na Vedaha. Rupa Veda is that is only for the Upasakas. Tattvataha Kopi Vedaha Nasti, there is no Veda with regard to Tattva. So the one who doesn't have limits, Yastya Antam, the Anta is the limit. Limit means Adi also, beginning and the end, not there for whom. It doesn't have a beginning, it doesn't have an end. If he has a beginning, then he is limited. If he has an end, he's also limited. Like us, we have a date of coming and date of going. Bhagavan is like that? No. Bhagavan doesn't have end. Bhagavan doesn't have a beginning. So yasya antam, the limits, whether it is upper limit or lower limit, not there. Yasya antam na viduhu. Na viduhu cannot, not known. Do not know. Na viduhu, do not know. Who? Suraganaha. Even the devatas and the asura, they do not know the limit of the Bhagavan. Because Bhagavan is unlimited. He is Purnaha. Therefore, Bhagavan, who doesn't have limit, him who the asuras and the devatas do not know, to him my namaskara. My namaskara to that Bhagavan who is Anantaha, who is Anadi. Anantaha. Anantaha we chant when we do Achamanam, Om Achyutaya Namaha, Anantaya Namaha. What is Ananta? Ananta means the one who doesn't have end. Achyutaya Namaha. Achyuta means the one who cannot, who never, who is infallible. Achyuta means infallible. God never fails. Not only Jesus. Our Bhagavan also never fails, because the very meaning of the word Achyuta is infallible. Is infallible. Everything is fallible, but not the Lord, because he is Purnaha, he is complete. How can he be fallible? How can he be limited? To be fallible, the one has to be limited. One is infallible. He is unlimited, therefore infallible. So that's what the word Achyuta means. Nachutaha Achyutaha. Achyuta is fallible. It is subject to change. Bhagavan doesn't change. The changeless Bhagavan, who is the Adhisthana, the Adhara of the changing Jagat, to him my namaskara. Therefore, he doesn't have Anta or Adi. The one who doesn't have Anta Adi, the Lord, to that Lord, I offer my namaskara. Yasya antam na viduhu. Bhagavataha antam na viduhu. Suraganaha na viduhu. The devatas and the asuras, they do not know the limit of whom. To him, my namaskara. Iti Madhusudana Saraswati, he offered namaskara to the Lord Vishnu. Lord Vishnu or Lord Krishna. We can take Vishnu or Krishna, there is no problem, because we are not different. The same Vishnu has come in the form of Lord Krishna to teach Gita to Arjuna. So, through this Dhyana Shloka, we offer our namaskara to Lord Vishnu, who is in the form of Lord Krishna and who is a teacher of the Gita to the Shishya Arjuna. So, with this, the Dhyana Shlokas are completed. So, from next class, we will chant only few Dhyana Shlokas. All the 9 Dhyana Shlokas we cannot chant. So, first Dhyana Shloka, the first Dhyana Shloka, that is Partaya Pratiboditam and Vasudeva Sutam Devam or Mukam Karoti, anyone, these two we can do. At the end of the class, we can chant this 9th Dhyana Shloka, which is Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Marutaha. So with this Dhyana Shlokas are completed, now we enter into the first chapter of the Gita. The first chapter, let us chant the first shloka. Atha pratamodhyayaha, can repeat.
Atha
Dhritarashtra uvacha
Dhritarashtra
Dharmakshetre Kurukshetre
Kurukshetre
Samaveta Yuyutsavaha Mamakah Pandavaschaiva
पाण्डवाश्चैव
किमकुर्वत सञ्जय
किमकुर्वत सञ्जय
I'll give the simple meaning of this shloka. And we all know that Gita has 18 chapters. The first chapter, Pratamaha Adhyayaha, Pratamo Adhyayaha. The chapter has a name. Every chapter has a name. This chapter is known by the name Arjuna Vishada Yogaha. Arjuna Vishada Yogaha. The second chapter is called Sankhya Yogaha. So like that, each chapter has got name that we will see. Now, when you say Arjuna Vishada Yoga, Vishada means dukkha, shoka. Vishada means shoka. Whose shoka, whose dukkham? It is Arjuna's. So, the shokam of Arjuna is the yoga. What is yoga? We know Karma Yoga, we know Jnana Yoga, we know Hatha Yoga, Raja Yoga. So many yogas are there. Like that yoga here? No. The meaning of the word yoga, you need to understand. Yoga, generally, what it means, that is not the meaning here. Here the word yoga means the topic, the context. Yoga means context, the topic. The topic of the first chapter of the Gita is the Vishada of Arjuna, the despondency of Arjuna. That is why the first chapter is called Arjuna Vishada Yoga. So, Arjuna Vishada, the Dukkham is not the yoga. Dukkham is not the yoga. Dukkham of Arjuna is a topic, that is the meaning. Okay. So, yoga doesn't mean here like other meaning that Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, their yoga is a different. Their yoga is a sadhana. Their yoga, Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, when we say Karma is a sadhanam, Jnanam is a sadhanam, that is the sadhanam. But that is not the meaning here. Arjuna Vishada Yoga, when we say that Dukkham of Arjuna is not the sadhanam, it's a topic. So the word yoga means topic. That is the first chapter, the name of the first chapter, Arjuna Vishada Yoga. Topic of the first chapter is Arjuna Vishada Yoga. From the topic, you can make out the subject matter of the topic. So this first chapter, which is named Arjuna Vishada Yoga, as the subject matter that it deals with the Vishada, the Dukkham, the Shoka of Arjuna. So it describes the Shoka of Arjuna. Why Arjuna is sad. Why it is sad. That is mentioned in this chapter. That is the subject matter of this chapter. That is why it is named Arjuna Vishada Yoga. And the very first shloka starts with Dhritarashtra Uvacha. We know who is Dhritarashtra. Dhritarashtra, the father of Duryodhana. Duryodhana and the other brothers, the 100 brothers. Generally, they are referred by Kaurava. Kauravas and Pandavas. Pandavas are also Kauravas only. They also belong to the Kuru dynasty only. But still, we refer to the Yudhishthira, Bhima, Arjuna, Nakula, Sakadeva by the word Pandava, and the others, Duryodhanadi, by the word Kaurava. So the father of Kauravas is Dhritarashtra. Dhritarashtraha Uvacha. So the Gita begins with the words spoken by Dhritarashtra. Now, Gita is like the Upanishad. It's a Grantha. The Grantha begins. How does it begin? Dhritarashtraha Uvacha. Just getting into the topic. Getting into the topic without any prayer. There is no prayer involved here. Where is a prayer? Any text beginning without a prayer doesn't deserve to be studied according to the tradition. A text must have a prayer. And this a text written by Vyasacharya, Gita, which is in Mahabharata. Even though Vyasacharya would have written Dhyana Shloka for the Mahabharata, but for Gita alone, where is the prayer? There is no prayer, one may argue. For that, we say, even though Gita doesn't have the prayer verses, the Dhyana Shloka, even though we borrowed Dhyana Shlokas of Madhusudana Saraswati, we had written a Bhashyam on Gita, which is called Gudhartha Deepika. For that Bhashyam, he had written the Dhyana Shloka, which we borrowed, even though we borrowed, but still, Gita must have a Dhyana Shloka, must have a prayer. It doesn't have. So, a Purva Pakshi, an opponent can raise a question like this. An opponent can raise. Always an opponent will be there. Opponent, the Purva Pakshi. Purva Pakshi means opponent. The Purva Pakshi job is to find the fault with the Siddhanti, the fault with the text. Not only the text, the subject matter of the text and the text. So if his job is to find fault and he will argue, and we have to give appropriate answer to the Purva Pakshi. It is not only answering to Purva Pakshi, it is also for our understanding. If Purva Pakshi is not there, we will supply Purva Pakshi and we question and give answer. So our understanding is always in the form of asking questions and getting answer. So therefore, a Purva Pakshi can raise a question that the text begins without a prayer. Does it worth studying? A Purva Pakshi can ask. For that, we say a prayer can be in the form of a shloka, in the form of a verse. The verse can be 2 lines, 4 lines. It can be of any lines. A prayer can be in the form of a shloka. A prayer can also be in the form of a word. A word can be a prayer. Just a word. Om is a prayer. Atha is a prayer. In Samskrita Vyakaranam, this Ashtadhyayi, a grammar text written by Panini Maharishi, that begins with a sutra, Vriddhi Radej. Vriddhi, that very word Vriddhi is a prayer. The meaning of the word Vriddhi is amazing. And it has got a technical name. So there the Panini Maharishi uses the technical name Vriddhi to refer to the technical thing as well as the word acts like a prayer. 2 in 1. That is the beauty of the Sutra Patha. So what I'm saying is a word also can become a prayer. If a prayer in the form of a shloka is not there, it can be in the form of a word, Om or Atha. Even in Brahma Sutra, where the sutra starts, Athato Brahma Jignasa, Atha is Mangala Suchaka Shabda. That Mangala Suchaka Shabda itself is a prayer. So like that, a word also can be a prayer. But here what is a prayer? No prayer. Dhritarashtra Uvacha, the text begins like that. The word Dhritarashtra is a prayer. The word just Dhritarashtraha, even though it refers to the father of the Kaurava, but still the word Dhritarashtra is an auspicious name of the Lord that itself acts like a prayer. Dhritam Rashtram Yena Saha Dhritarashtraha. By the one by whom the Rashtra is Dhrita, is sustained, it is hold, supported. By the one, this Jagat is supported. The Jagat is supported by whom? By the Lord. Therefore, the Dhritarashtraha itself refers to the Lord, the Bhagavan. Therefore, it is a prayer. Therefore, you cannot say a text is without a prayer. If a text is without a prayer, then it doesn't deserve to be studied. That must be clearly understood. A text, any text, which begins without a prayer, it doesn't deserve to be studied. Without Ishvara, what is a study? Any task we do, we always invoke Bhagavan and then we start. That is why every class, for at least we do Vakratunda. In the Gurukulam, we don't chant Vakratunda every class, but we chant because internet connection should be there, power should be there, all other factors, you should be able to hear my voice. A lot of other things are there. All other obstacles possible. All the possible obstacles, whatever we know, we can avoid. But whatever obstacles we don't know, over which we don't have control, how do you remove it? By invoking the Lord. You have to bring in the Lord. That is why we chant Vakratunda Saraswati Namastubhyam iti every class. So without Bhagavan, without bringing Ishvara into our activity, daily activities, in every activity, then that activity itself is not sacred or it's not complete. And when it comes to the study of the text, it's all the more required. So the word Dhritarashtra, by which the text, the Gita begins, that the word itself acts like a prayer. So Dhritarashtra refers to the Lord. Dhritam Rashtram. Dhritam, sustained, supported. Rashtra refers to the whole Jagat. Rashtra means nation, country. But the whole Jagat is referred by the word Rashtra. The country or nation is only what we made. We created a boundary. Really speaking, there is no country or there is no nation. It is just an imaginary demarcation what we made. Rashtra is Prithvi, the one who is a supporter, the sustainer of this Prithvi. Who is that? The Lord. So the name of the Lord is taken at the beginning. So that itself is a prayer. Therefore, Dhritarashtraha Uvacha. Dhritarashtra Uvacha means spoke. He spoke. What does he say? Before getting into that, the first shloka, the meaning, let me give you some idea about when did he ask this shloka and why did he ask? Why did he ask this? When did he say this and why did he say? In the Kurukshetra, the Pandavas' army and the Kauravas' army both had gathered. The war not yet started. They are stationed. The armies are stationed. So two armies are stationed. That time, Arjuna, seeing his own guru and grandfather Pitamaha Bhishma and Dronacharya, Kripacharya, seeing them, Arjuna felt sad. He doesn't want to fight. He wanted to withdraw from the battle. Suddenly, a strong dispassion arose in the mind of Arjuna, and he wanted to withdraw from the battle. And Krishna, having understood the mind frame of Arjuna, Bhagavan Krishna emphasized the duty and the part of Arjuna as a Kshatriya and instigated him to fight the battle. So after listening to the Gita, the teaching of the Gita from the Lord, Arjuna got the courage to fight and the war started. So first day over, second day over, third day, all the 9 days over. On the 10th day, Bhishma was shot down by Arjuna. Bhishma was made to lie on the on the bed of arrows. Arrow bed. He was made to lie down. And Bhishma did not die because he was endowed with a boon. Icha Maranam. Whenever he wanted to die, that time he can die. So he had a boon, Icha Maranam. And since Dakshinayanam was going on that time, so he waited for Uttarayanam to come. So therefore, he did not die. He was made to lie on the bed of arrows. Now this information reached Dhritarashtra. This information reached the ears of Dhritarashtra, and Dhritarashtra was shocked. Till then, he was having the belief. He was having the conviction that Kauravas will win. His son will win, and he will occupy the throne of the throne of the Hastinapura. This is what his thinking was. But now, when he heard the news that Bhishma was shot down, then he was shaken. He was worried about the outcome of the war. So then he called Sanjaya. Who is Sanjaya? Sanjaya is the Sarathi of Dhritarashtra, charioteer of Dhritarashtra. And he asked him, "You please tell me from the first day onwards what had happened." How can Sanjaya tell what had happened? He was not in the battlefield. He was with Dhritarashtra all the time. How can he say? Sanjaya was blessed with the vision of seeing things from a distance. Duradarshanam. Vyasacharya had given a boon to Dhritarashtra that you would be able to see the happenings of the Kurukshetra sitting from your palace. But Dhritarashtra denied. He didn't want that. Instead, he said, "You can give that boon, that faculty to Sanjaya. Let him see and tell me. I will hear. I don't want to see the battle." So therefore, Sanjaya is now blessed with seeing the happenings of the Kurukshetra. So therefore, Dhritarashtra called Sanjaya, and since he heard that Bhishma was shot down, and after 10 days of the war, he called Sanjaya and asked him to recollect what had happened during the first 10 days. So the happenings of the war up to the first 10 days, it's only a recorded telecast by Sanjaya, not the live telecast. Many people think it's a live telecast. It is not the live telecast. Sanjaya, he told the record, it already happened incidents. The 10 days war had gone. So Sanjaya recounted the 10 days, what had happened in the battlefield, and he tells Dhritarashtra. After that onwards, from the 11th day onwards, it is a live telecast. So Sanjaya will see the battlefield through his divine vision, which he was given by Vyasacharya, and he would tell the happenings of the battle. But up to the first 10 days, for the first 10 days, it's only a recorded, or the past event is recollected by Sanjaya and told Dhritarashtra. So Dhritarashtra wanted to know how Bhishmacharya was shot down. What happened to my armies, my people, my sons? So therefore he called Sanjaya, and he asked. Uvacha spoke. Dhritarashtra Uvacha. What did he say? Dharmakshetre Kurukshetre Samavetaha Yuyutsavaha Mamakaha Pandavaha cha eva Kim Akurvata. The word Akurvata itself says this had happened before. It's only a past. Akurvata means what were they doing. He didn't ask Kim Kurvanti. If it is Kurvanti, then it is a live telecast. Since it is Akurvata, therefore it is only the past event. The word Akurvata itself says. So the first 10 days of the war were recounted by Sanjaya to Dhritarashtra. So Dhritarashtra asked, Kim Akurvata? Hey Sanjaya. Sanjaya is Sambodhana. Hey Sanjaya, Kim Akurvata? What do they do? What did they do? What did they do? Who? Mamakaha, my people. My people refers to Kauravas, Duryodhana and others. Mamakaha, my people. Pandavaha, sons of Pandu. So my sons and the sons of Pandu, Kim Akurvata, what did they do? Hey Sanjaya, where Dharmakshetre, Kurukshetre, in the Kurukshetra, Kurukshetra is the name of the place, which is qualified by another word, Dharmakshetra. Dharmakshetra is the place of Dharma, where Dharma is upheld. Dharmakshetra, Kshetra means the place, the land. Dharma is that by which it is supported. Dharma is from the Dhrudhatu. Dharma is from the Dhrudhatu, that by which a thing is supported. It's called Dharma. So here Dharma, you can take it as the meaning as the value. The values are supported. Dharma. That which is righteous. Righteousness is called Dharma. What is proper, that is called Dharma. So in that Dharma Kshetra, which is a Kurukshetra, in Kurukshetra only Dharma is going to be established, or Dharma is established. That is why it's called Dharma Kshetra. In that Kshetra, Samavetaha, the people who have gathered for what? To fight. Yuyutsavaha. Yuyutsu, desiring to fight. Like Mumukshu, desire to be free. That's called Mumukshu. Yuyutsu is desire to fight. The people who are eager to fight, who have the desire to fight. Samavetaha, they gathered. Who are those people? Mamakaha, my people. Pandavaha, the sons of Pandu, who have gathered in the Dharmakshetra, Kurukshetra for fighting. What did they do? Hey Sanjaya, Kim Akurvata, what were they doing? Iti Dhritarashtra, he asked Sanjaya. So the first chapter begins with the question on the part of Dhritarashtra, and now from the second shloka onwards, Sanjaya will tell what had happened. What had happened. The whole Gita is only about what had happened. Gita is only about the teaching of the Lord. So he's going to say. So Sanjaya is going to report. He's a reporter going to report what had happened to Dhritarashtra. From the second shloka onwards, it is Sanjaya only. There are only two people who speaks in this whole Gita. One is Dhritarashtra, other one is Sanjaya. It's a conversation between only these two people. And within Sanjaya only, the conversation between Arjuna and Krishna comes. Because Sanjaya is reporting. So, from the next shloka onwards, Sanjaya starts speaking. That we will see. We will see in the next class. So, we can stop here. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha.
Hari Om.
Om.
धन्यवाद गुरुजी.
धन्यवाद गुरुजी. धन्यवाद विशाल जी. धन्यवाद.